In this video I'm gonna find out the best vlogging lens to use on your Lumix camera. Hi guys, my name is Matti Sulanto. I'm a photographer and a Lumix ambassador from Helsinki, Finland. And in this video I'm gonna find out the best vlogging lenses for Lumix cameras. And I think there are two main features to look at on a vlogging lens, and those are the focal length and the size and the weight. Because if you're going to hold a camera like so, you're gonna need a wide enough lens to cover enough of you and some of the background as well from about this distance. And you don't want to be holding anything too heavy in your hand, because you're gonna start feel the fatigue pretty soon if that thing is too heavy. And there certainly are many suitable lenses in the Lumix lineup, but I think we should first find out about the suitable focal length range. And for that, I think I'm gonna go out and do some real life vlogging for a bit. And I'm gonna use my Lumix G9 and 8 to 18 millimeter zoom lens, because I suspect that the suitable range is somewhere between 8 and 18 millimeters. And if I use this lens, I can get all the necessary focal lengths without changing lenses. I just have to turn the zoom ring. And I also have a Nisi variable ND filter on my lens, so I can shoot at around f5.6. And by the way, this is really good filter. It's high quality, it doesn't ruin your sharpness, it handles backlight pretty well, and there's very minimal color shift. And because it's sunny and pretty contrasty out there, I'm gonna use the 10-bit 422 video quality and the V-Log L color profile, and I hope that's gonna help me to handle all the contrast out there. But now let's go out and find out about the suitable focal length range, and then we come back and check out the suitable lenses. So here we are out on the street vlogging. Now I'm at 18 millimeters, and I can say right away that it's not good, it's too tight, my face is too big in the frame, so I'm gonna switch to 14 millimeters. And this is how 14 looks, and while it's better than 18, it's still too tight, my face is still too big in the frame, and there's not enough background visible, so I'm gonna move to 12 millimeters. And this is how 12 millimeter looks, and I think this is the kind of narrowest focal length I would use for vlogging if I could choose. But it's still kind of tight to my taste, so I'm gonna switch to 10 millimeters. And this is 10. And now it starts to look the way I like it. My face is not too big in the frame, and there's a lot of background visible, and I don't have to hold my camera too far away from my face to fit enough in the frame. But there's still 8 millimeters to try, and let's see how that looks. And this is how 8 millimeters looks like, and this is by far the best looking picture, and this is what I would use if I would vlog. There's enough space around me, my face is not too big in the frame, and I don't have to hold the camera too far away from my face. But let's now go back inside and see the other lens alternatives or options if you don't have or don't want to use this 8 to 18 millimeter zoom lens. Okay, back inside. And before I go any further, please check out my new merchandise. There are some hoodies and t-shirts. Down below there's a link, and if you purchase one of these, you'll support my channel at the same time. And now let's move on to the suitable lenses. And as my testing outside revealed, the suitable range is 12 millimeters and below. 12 millimeters or wider than that. And there certainly are many lenses in the Lumix lineup that go to 12 millimeters, but there are not that many that go below that or wider than that. Many of the standard zoom lenses and kit lenses go to 12 millimeters, so if you are happy with that, then there's a really long list of suitable lenses. But what comes to wider than that, there are pretty much 3 lenses in the Lumix lineup. It's the 8 to 18 millimeter that I was using, and then the older model 7 to 14 millimeter, and then the 10 to 25 millimeter f1.7. Let's first talk about the 10 to 25 millimeter. It sounds very like a cool lens to use for vlogging, and I have used it in vlogging a couple of times, but I think it's kind of too heavy and big for that. And I would really prefer even wider than 10 millimeters. So I wouldn't recommend that lens for vlogging. But if you happen to have that lens, by all means give it a try. And then there's the 7 to 14 millimeter f4 lens, which I don't have, but I would imagine it's pretty good for vlogging because it's so tiny and lightweight. It's only f4 lens, but I don't think it's a problem in most cases. But if you're going to be vlogging in a very dim interior or maybe nighttime outside, then that f4 might be like a small problem. And of course then there is this 8 to 18 millimeter, which is f2.8 at 8 millimeters, and I think this is almost the perfect vlogging lens based on my experience. It's not the smallest or lightest lens, but it's not also too heavy or too big. And that f2.8 is bright enough for almost any situation. And then of course there are some third-party lenses or some lenses that are not Lumix or Leica lenses, and one really good lens could be the Laowa 7.5mm f2 lens. I have a review on that lens. I'll put the link at the end of this video. It's a manual focus lens, but in most cases I don't think the focus is a problem, especially outside. If you can stop down a few clicks, you can easily handle the manual focus even if you are vlogging like this. It's a tiny lens, and I suspect it would be pretty good for vlogging. And then of course there are some lenses in the Olympus lineup that could be suitable because they go below 12 millimeters or wider than that, but I can't really comment on those because I haven't used them for vlogging. And also bear in mind that if your camera has a 4K crop and you'd like to vlog in 4K, you have to include that crop factor in there too, and my recommendations here are no good because this camera has no crop. And on a crop camera you probably want the widest lens you can find. And also, none of these wide-angle lenses are stabilized, but that shouldn't be a problem, at least on any of the newer Lumix cameras, because of the really effective IBIS. And in general, wide-angle lenses don't need as effective stabilizer as some longer lenses. So the conclusion here is that in my opinion the best vlogging lens in the Lumix lineup is the Leica 8 to 18mm zoom lens. It's wide enough at 8mm, and that f2.8 maximum aperture is bright enough in almost any situation. This is not the smallest lens or the lightest lens, but it's not too big or heavy to be, used like this. And the second best option probably would be the 7 to 14mm, which I don't have and I haven't used it for vlogging, but I know the lens and I have used it in the past, and it's really tiny, nimble lens. So in that sense it could work really well. And then of course there are those Olympus lenses which could be worth taking a look at. And then The manual option is the Laowa 7.5mm f2 lens. That's it this time. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.